What's up, guys? Welcome to this Friday episode of Unemployable. Today, we do a deep dive into what is known as an offsite. Eric and I did an offsite meeting with one of our portfolio companies yesterday, Earlibird. And this is not really about Earlibird as much as it is about how and why you should do offsite meetings with your key people in your business at least once a quarter. We talked about what actually came out of the meeting and how we did a complete 180 on what we thought we were doing strategically. And we talked about how we steelman ideas, how we, the dangers of optimism, the danger of overlooking the quiet people in the room. And we give you really, really practical examples of mistakes we were on the precipice of making, and how through properly run meetings that are not necessarily led by the most enthusiastic and loudest person in the room, but that through consensus of ideas leads to substantial changes in the direction of a business and the outcome that that business ultimately delivers for its founders. We also talk about ideas again and what we learned this week from working with our clients, and how it's so important that you get the right idea. And we give you practical examples from the field this week of people who are doing it right and people who are still on this learning journey. So if you're in the market right now looking to get a business started, or you're in a business that's not working and you're wondering, hey, is it time to find something else? You'll find this pod really, really helpful. As always, drop a comment, like and subscribe. Thank you for following, and we'll see you on the other side. Here's a fun fact about our show. We put a ton of effort into making these podcasts for you. The one thing that we would love for you to do if you actually get value out of the pod is just hit that subscribe button. By doing that, it helps us get better guests on the show because they can see that we have a bigger audience. So if you're enjoying the content, just hit the subscribe button below, and then throughout the podcast, drop a comment so that we know that we're hitting the mark or how we can improve. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Friday recap. I am joined at the panel, as always, by the three amigos, Eric Machado, Mark DePola, and of course, the one and only James the Jacked Denham.
Well, just jamming the juice.
How are you, James? What's going on, mate?
With an intro like that, how else could I be?
Hey?
I'm unstoppable.
Got to advertise, mate. Got to advertise.
Yeah. Any tough road rust.
Exactly. Mark, how are you, mate? What's happening?
Mate, I'm doing well. Little Frankie has been a little bit unwell this week. She's had runny nose and a sore throat. So I'm just there trying to take extra supplements and making sure that I don't come down with anything. But other than that, we're doing good.
I was down your neck of the woods on the weekend. Actually, went down to Byron for the day, and it's lovely down here.
Beautiful on the weekend, wasn't it?
Just stunning. Eric, how are you, mate? What's happening?
I'm good, buddy. Just another day here on the pod. Always look forward to these podcasts. And depending what James comes in with, it's always good. So, no, it's good to have you guys here.
It's coming with a new polo today.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, just to blend into the background and a bit of a milder run today, I think.
Still shopping at the boys' stores. We might get one that fits one day. But anyway.
Did tell me. Did you buy that yourself? If not, I'll get the bastard who did.
Oh my God, James is getting on fire. All right, so guys, Friday session. I mean, it's been an interesting week. The last week was just so dominated by American political news. We saw Trump shot. Then not long after, we've seen his co-runner on the opposite side now stepping out of the race. So it's all been political news. There's been so much going on in the press. Time to bring it back to business and what's been going on in our worlds out there. It's interesting, I think, because the time's flying by. We're now in July 23rd. We're certainly into the back half of this year. Seems like 5 minutes ago I was counting in the new year in Sydney, watching the fireworks go off. It's amazing how fast the years go by these days, and how important it is to be, making sure you're getting the work done. So who wants to kick off with something that's gone on in their week? Has anybody got something they want to jump in with, or do you want me to lead one off?
Here you go, man. Usually the last to go, so yeah, fire away.
I'll lead one off. So we went yesterday, we had our Earlibird offsite. Now, offsites for a lot of people listening who aren't yet in business or are just getting started, or even those who are in business, might be good for them to be reminded of what an offsite is and the importance and why they're so good. So An offsite basically is where we get together with the founders of a company offsite, so outside of their normal environment. Yesterday we had, I think it was 3 hours together at my home. My assistant and wife obviously put together a beautiful lunch for us, and we're on the beach, and it was just so good for the guys to be out of Earlibird for 5 minutes because those guys are literally working like from 8 a.m. till, Josh is there till 10 most nights, and Chris is there well into the night, early morning. So it's really easy just to get your head just sort of so confined in that one space. And I'm a big believer in the impact of environment. And so getting them out of the environment to step away physically from their desks and away from their routine, get into a new space, it just seems to make the brain work differently. And Eric and I sat with them and really just got down and asked, okay, where are we going? It's kind of like, let's just make sure the ladder is secure and it's leaning against the right wall. What have we learned so far? What are we doing well? What have we got to do better? What's stopping us from scale? Asking those sort of higher level, directional questions, as opposed to being absorbed in the minutiae of client requests and emails coming in at the doing of the do. And it was really, really powerful. We sort of sat down, questioned some assumptions. And one of the really powerful parts is when we, I might throw an idea out and then Eric will play the devil's advocate on that idea and bounce, try and bulletproof that idea. And it was really, really productive. And we came out of it, just with a whole new level of clarity about strategy moving forward. You could just see the excitement and relief on their faces. What was your take on it, Eric?
Honestly, I was just looking at Chris and watching all the notes he was taking. He had 3 or 4 pages, worth of notes. But yeah, again, I think it's very important. I think a lot of businesses don't do it enough, to be honest with you, is having regular offsite meetings. Sometimes I think everyone's just in the trenches with a horse with blinders, working on that kind of micro level stuff in the business, which is obviously very important. That's a lot of the needle moving things. But sometimes, stepping back and taking more of a macro kind of level, especially with people that aren't like you and myself every day in that business, coming up with different ideas. You sit down with Chris, and he's such an intelligent guy, and so is Josh. And sometimes they don't see the obvious, and when we're making certain comments, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, great idea. And but it comes quite natural for us. And I think that just comes with time and being surrounded by different businesses, in different businesses over time. But I looked at that yesterday, and there were some big calls made yesterday, to be honest with you. We changed kind of a bit of the trajectory of the business, to be honest with you, and kind of what we're going to be offering and why we're going to be offering those things. And I think it's going to be, it's going to compound quite well. But again, we started with the end in mind, because sometimes I think we forget we're building a business. And at the beginning, we're like, hey, we're building this business. This is what we're going to do. This is why we're doing it. And I think at times we forget, right? We start building this thing, and it takes kind of, it turns into its own beast, right? And goes into a different direction. And sometimes you got to rein it in.
I've found that when we come up with an idea or a concept or something, we set that into the autopilot, and then we go away and we do the day-to-day work.
Yeah.
And that destination gets set into the autopilot, even though there might have been shifts occurring in the market or within the organization. So one of the questions that I had for you guys was going to be, how do you think your mission changed in that 3 or so hours that you guys were together, and what impacts on the shared vision and purpose came out of that meeting, and how?
One of the things Eric did that was really good was he said, okay, we're going to exit that company at some point. Like, this is a business that we're going to build, and we're going to try and sell it to a large public company in Australia, or a company that has a lot of small business clients already. So think of like a Crazy Domains or an Australia Post or something that has a massive database of entrepreneurs and small business owners that are already using their products and services, that can come along and go, hey, you guys have got a business that's growing like this. It's in the AI space. That's an exciting acquisition target for us, because we can buy you guys and instantly add massive value. So to give you context, that's sort of what we're shooting for, and we want to push really, really hard so that the business tells a really, really good story to an acquirer with deep pockets who wants the sexiness of acquiring a high-growth AI company. So that's what we want to do. And then we said, well, how much do we want to exit it for? And we have a number. And so then we looked at the service offerings and we broke it down. If the average order value is X per year, because it's kind of a subscription model ultimately because we maintain the AIs and so on, how many clients do we need? We worked backwards. We worked out exactly how many clients we need with the average order value. And then that got us really clear as a context for, okay, what's the fastest and best way to get that outcome? And I think that's very, very important for businesses to come back to why we're doing it, not how first. So it's why before how, you know? So then we moved to how. And what I also think was critical to answer I'll get to your question about how it changed, but somebody in the room, entrepreneurs tend to be agreeable by nature and we love talking about ideas and we don't want to be negative. Somebody in the room has to take the other side of the argument. And there were certain things that we were looking at doing and like we went down the road and this has been a hard lesson for me, and James is sitting to my left and can attest to this, but like, for example, we were going to develop, we were thinking strategically, we were like, okay, rather than creating different AIs for lots of different companies, like a company comes in, tells us what they are, and then go back and give them a solution, let's just create a solution for a vertical so that we don't keep rebuilding it and go deep on that vertical. And that kind of, on the surface, you go, that makes perfect sense, right? So let's say you create a stack of AIs for real estate agents, and let's go deep on just go into every real estate agent. Yeah, that's great. And then we thought you get excited about all the ways that it can help a real estate agent. But then you've got to go, okay, what's bad about this? Where could this go wrong? What could be? And we realized things like, I said, like we're sitting in my apartment. Well, if I was selling my apartment, like one of the biggest challenges is real estate agents take calls all day. They would love it if, they didn't have to take calls. But in reality, if you're selling a property and you're going to pay a commission of 30 grand or 100 grand, how will the vendor feel if the phones get answered by AI all the time? And also, how good could the AI be without custom training at a property level? Like if I was buying my places on the beachfront, so I would be asking questions like, what was the last couple of sales on the beachfront at Main Beach? Who sold them? How much per square meter? How does the building compare?
There's little nuances to selling as well. Like
totally.
We just bought it, slightly separate topic, but we just bought a place in Byron, and he sold the property, but he kind of undersold it. And then when we moved in, like a month later or whatever, we realized that if you walk to the end of our street, there was a path that led all the way to the beach. Like that's what I would have closed with on my call. Said, you got 5 more minutes? Let me just show you something. Like there's those little nuanced things.
Yes.
And like if you're going to go deep in a vertical like that, to actually in reality, to have a really effective AI answering calls for real estate agents, you have to do deep training on the AI at a per property level. So it's, as they say, devil's in the details. Yeah. The other risks were if we'd gone down that path and for some reason, like real estate agents have got plenty of money, they're not really in that much pain. They've got an abundance of leads. So you're selling to, and a lot of them, frankly, are arrogant. And so it's hard to get meetings. They're aloof. It's not high on their priority list. They're making lots of money already. So then you've gone and developed this AI stack and you've gone all in on this one deep vertical. And, you need to sit back and really, before you sort of settle on something, you've got to do that other side audit because entrepreneurs don't do that because they're fundamentally.
And I think that's like sort of to put a wrapper on that is like, what real problem are you solving? And there's actually probably not a problem there at the moment. Like the real estate agent or the prestige owner probably does want to deal with a human and have that rapport. Yeah. And they have got plenty of leads and they have got the EA doing the processing of the back end paperwork and whatnot. Versus potentially like a dental surgery or a medical surgery where bookings are a pain in the arse and it's noisy and it's a low level, high turnover and you actually are solving a real world problem.
And you look at, because dentists got brought up, but you look at dentists and it's the same products over and over again, right? Where a property is different every single time. Like a root canal is a root canal, a cavity is a cavity, a clean is a clean. You can teach the AI very quickly everything about a dental practice and adjust and pivot as you need. Whereas the real estate, there's a lot more maintenance ongoing, right? And like you said, totally. In detail. We sort of pivoted towards saying, look, let's think about
with AI, like real world examples is where the gaps are. Like, like where we've got start describing the products or services in the context of solving a real world problem that could apply to a bunch of businesses. So let's create a suite of solutions based on real, like if you work in an environment where your phone rings a lot and you've got high repetition, it's mostly just like a restaurant. I'm calling to book, I'm calling to change a booking, right? Or I'm, something like that. A medical center, same thing. People are calling up to book or change a booking, we've got a solution for that where the phones can answer that, or, so we've sort of recreated a stack and changed the whole way that our pricing works and the offering. And it's just so much. So, it was just really, really good. And so strategically, we solve real world problems for small businesses.
Have you guys, so when the internet first came out, nobody really knew how the internet was going to change the world, but all of a sudden you have e-commerce, which never really existed. Have you thought about things that don't exist yet that could potentially change the way we do business, or new categories?
Well, there is, like one of the products that we're developing is Review Getter. So like anybody who sells a product, service online, or any business has a database of customers, right? So imagine getting a text or a voice drop into their voicemail that says, "Hey Mark, thanks for buying my dry flush toilet. I'm just following up to see how you do it." Great. How was your experience? Like, was it okay to buy? Were there any challenges? Oh, this, that, and the other. Were you happy with the service that you got? Yes. Mark, I've just written this review, which the AI could do in real time. Here, I'm just going to text it to you based on our conversation here, separate text, boom. Would it be okay for you to post it on this link for us? It would really help us. And it's actually written the review for them. And it's there right there in the text with a hyperlink and a separate text with the copy there that's been written. I mean, how easy is that to do? So that, I think, is an opportunity to go to your entire database, engage them in text messaging, which is really intimate and real, that can customize their phone number in there and automatically, double or triple the number of reviews you got on Google.
And more importantly, with the AI, if they said, no, my customer experience was shit, go, okay, no worries, in bang, get them onto a human and fix the problem before they go on. Because if you just go with a blanket, old static style Google review campaign, and you haven't gone and sorted the wheat from the chaff, you can end up with a shitload of negative reviews by default.
Yeah.
Something like that, I think, is exactly what I'm referring to. Because at the moment, with the internet model, the way that we search for products is through keywords or search terms. But in the future model, we may just chat to our AI and say, "Hey, can you find me the best products where the reviewers said that it fixes my eyebrow lash," or whatever it may be, right? And the way we search for products is going to change.
Yeah.
So it's about creating
and what the AI can do is go, okay, well, how are they going to know what review to write based on just, small chat from text back and forth? And like Adam said, all you got to do is go to your, top 50 reviews, throw it into the AI, and then that's where it'll get the information to then go and do the reviews as an example, right?
Not only that, though, if you're using like GHL, which the guys are, you can go and pull the record out and take all the notes there and recite it from, here's your experience so far, just to remind them. Because if you're going out to, let's be honest, when you opted in for something or you bought something, unless it's something significant like a Porsche, you've forgotten what you bought yesterday. And so if you pull the data to get pulled from GHL, remind them what the journey was like, and then spin it up into a review.
Yeah, but the review process is one of those things that's so important for a business. And when you actually look at it, it's quite simple for someone to post a review. But at the same time, when I think of posting a review, you got to open up the app, you got to sit there, and you got to take, at least 5 to 10 minutes to think about what you're going to write. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of people don't know how to write, right? Not saying that they're idiots, but like to sit there and actually write a nice review. You got to literally sit there, document it, write it down first, double check it, spell check. No, change this, change that. All of a sudden your phone rings, the baby's crying, gone.
It depends.
Disappeared.
So that'll be like an example of a solution that'll be on a menu of things. So they'll charge a fee, and then they'll go in. If you don't have reviews already, they'll go to your top competitors. They'll grab all their 5-star reviews off Google for that exact type of product or service. Those will be used as a trainer for the AI. So to start, here's what a great review sounds like for this type of product or service. They write similar product reviews for our client based on their first name and our product, and so on. So that's an example of a solution.
But if you don't have these offsites, that idea probably isn't even thought about. So give yourself that time, and there's banter and there's bounce, and then you have, all these notes. But then there was 5 key action takeaways that the boys needed to do. We put a timeline on it. So it's not just talking about all these things. It's then talking about them and going, okay, what are the action items out of these things? Because you're not going to do everything. What are the top key 5 action items? And that was documented. So we have dates written down here. And
so to give you an example, to be practical, like we've said, all right, let's get the menu sorted. So I've got all these ingredients in the kitchen. Now you boys need to turn them into different types of hamburgers.
Yeah.
So one is the review solution. Another one is if you've got a business that runs on servicing. So let's say you got a car, so you got your Mercedes-Benz Gold Coast. Got all these clients that should be bringing their cars in for a service, or a dentist that everybody should be coming in. You can use this AI to call or text all of your clients when their cleaning is due, when their servicing is due. We can set it all up for you so that you don't have to rely on the receptionist to be in the office to call up and book. It's all done automatically, exactly on the right day, exactly in the right tone, every single time, using voice and or text. So on that checklist was like, by this Friday, we want a master list of what the services are going to be. We want 4 case studies of businesses that have, okay, these are all the things we can do on one big graphically designed document that we're going to give away as a lead magnet on social media. Hey guys, if you're in a business and you're wondering how AI can help you, put your name and email in here and get this, which is the ultimate guide to all the practical tools that small businesses in Australia right now could use to revolutionize their business. And it includes 4 examples of, so for example, if you've got a hair salon, here's the things that you should be using right now. If you've got a restaurant, here's the things you can use right now. So by Friday, we've got that. And then next week is the 5 examples. So it becomes an ebook that we can use as a lead magnet and ad. Then we're going to plan our commercials, our first commercials to go out on socials. Because right now, the whole business has been built off this pod, but they're going to run commercials. So we're going to sit down and do another offsite where we plan out the first 10 commercials. We've reached out to a guy called Jordan Crawley who does our on-camera ads. So he's going to be the face. We pay him a fee. He'll then do 10 commercials. He's the one that did the dry flush ads. Really great guy. So Jordan will make our first 10 commercials, which we'll run on social media. Then he's got to meet with Lizzie. Lizzie's our bookkeeper, and put all of these as items in Xero. So that so that from an accounting point of view, all of this is captured into financial language that we can then start measuring where the revenue is coming from. And so those are the 5 things that we're working on. So
how exciting when you get past product and you just get to scale, which is like when you can just dial the leads up and just forget about building product anymore. You got your devs. There's going to be intricacies here to implement it, but you can just go, right, now we're just picking the cannon up and it's directly to lead and sales.
I listened to that Harmozy pod again last night. I went for a walk last night and listened to the businesses within businesses pod, and it's exactly what it is. It just reminds you, and that's exactly kind of what we did yesterday. We kind of, we've got product market fit. We've dealt with a range of different clients in different industries, so we know some of the problems, and there's a lot of overlap, right? And that's why we're creating this menu, because like if you have, you want to revive your database as an example, right? Well, there's a lot of different industries that they want to do the same thing, and you're not changing things. So yeah, it's interesting when you actually give yourself the time to actually sit there and come up with some of these ideas. And to be honest with you, like, it's kind of changed the whole business model, to be honest with you, within 3 hours.
Within 3 hours. And originally what they were doing in the audits was what they called the ACDC model, which is they do an audit across how do you attract customers, how do you convert customers, how do you deliver your product, and how do you collect your money. And they would audit those 4, but give recommendations across the 4. But what we've learned up 3 months is what people are most willing to pay for is higher conversion, right? So if you've got a client who's spending all this money on online traffic, they're already attracting customers. So they don't really need help attracting customers. They know they've spent this money. It's a sunk cost. If you can show them how to get more money out of their existing client base and out of the leads coming in, and you can say, well, look, if we can increase your conversion rate by X, what would that mean to you? It's so much easier, but the collecting money and delivery, they're not so keen on. It's narrowing the focus.
That's really going.
I was going to say, it's funny, I had this conversation Friday that's turned into another long, lengthy meeting yesterday about specifically around agencies, which is talking to this. agencies drop as soon as they've done their conversion, they fucking run, they're gone. It's like, why would an agency be into lead nurture and maximizing conversions full stop? So it's end to end and they don't even leave the ecosystem. Yeah. And I mean, and so I was talking to an both an ad guy and a back end guy.
Yeah.
Going, why do you guys act like you're completely on different planets? It's like you should be completely integrated.
Yeah, the lead nurturing, again, it's another product. We were talking about this yesterday. When was the last time that you got a message other than being sold to, or hey, it's 20% off today, for just for you? Other than those types of text messages or emails, when was the last time you got a hey, happy anniversary on the purchase of your vehicle, or happy anniversary on your 1 year of
from the founder?
Yeah.
So like we were talking about Grant Mayo, who owns Nutrition Warehouse, who was on the pod here. He's got 170 stores, whatever it is.
Yeah, 111 or
110 stores, 170 million in sales. He's got probably over 100,000 customers, right? Imagine if on your birthday, you got a voicemail in your phone from Grant that says, hey, James, it's Grant Mayo. I'm the founder of Nutrition Warehouse, and I know you've been a customer at our stores. I just want to wish you a happy birthday, mate. Thank you so much. I know you could buy your protein powder anyway, but you buy it from us. Now, Grant could actually do that in his voice. Just to drop that would blow everyone's minds and his business up.
It sounds like these are all great tools, but if I'm understanding the real problem properly from a macro level, the real problem is that we live in a world of marketing saturation where there's too many products and too many ads, and what these businesses really need is a way to stand out and get a better conversion on their leads
for less effort,
because it's just becoming so hard because of the market saturation. So what other tools could be designed around that market saturation problem?
That's what we're doing. And so we got really clear. You could see Chris yesterday when we got the AC/DC, and we put a line through A and we put a line through D and C. I mean, we cut his focus down by 75%. Is we only focus on the conversion piece, where we're going to make more money for the client. Not save them money, make them money.
And it's hard to say no, right? Like Chris, wants to service everybody. He wants to solve everyone's problems using AI. But at the same time, you can't do that if you want to scale a business. You can't be everything to everyone.
This is the thing. I mean, maybe you morph from an AI company to a conversion company using AI.
Correct. That's
right.
Yeah. And the business behind the business is lead generation and sales.
So be leading out there to cut through. You're an AI company, but realistically, you're a marketing company.
Well, for now, there's no AI companies, but tomorrow there's going to be 50,000 like the com bubble, and so
we're the AI company that brings really hyper commercial solutions to businesses to make them make more money.
But it is a little bit like saying we're an internet company back in '96, right? You don't want to be an AI company forever.
Well, we'll be sitting here in 5 years, seeing new AI businesses getting sold for, 500 million, and us going, why didn't we think of that? That was so simple.
So true.
Here we are trying to solve everybody's problems. That's right. And they've solved one small one.
Yeah, just going to solve one. So
It's funny it comes full circle because Chris's background is an agency.
It is.
So getting back to, here we are again, we've got turbo in the background to make it a whole lot better than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Talking about this thing of customer focus, I did a coaching call with a client yesterday. And the proposal originally was that the product would sell for $200. And I said, I don't think you can make money at $200, but I also think that the product could be sold for $2,000. There's nothing like it in the marketplace. And I would be willing, but he said, I want to keep it at 200 so everybody can get access to it. And I'm like, the problem with that, it's like with the new consumer brand Eric and I are going to launch shortly. It does work for men and for women. Let's say it's a beauty product in broad terms. It works for men and for women. So we should go after that. No, we wouldn't even reach all the men in Australia for the first year or two with our current budget, let alone because it's a product for every man from 30 to 60, right? Pretty much. So we'll be flat out even reaching that. His idea that I'm going to reach everybody because it's $200. You won't reach everybody if it was $2,000. There are so many people that can afford to.
You'll put more people off.
Almost just did a podcast on it. He said 13 years of brilliant, honest business advice. And he said, don't sell to poor people, solve rich people's problems and sell to rich people. And Elon's the same. Start with premium and then work back. Don't start at the bottom and work up, because you then got to satisfy a whole bunch of people with a small budget. That's they get the most.
The product really is not that good. But when you're mass marketing you might make the product way too generic rather than really honing in on the features for that person.
And like Adam said, yesterday in the meeting, it's about looking at it from a big picture and go, okay, how many clients do we actually need at a certain amount of rate, right? Dollar value to then get to this, which means a net profit of that at a multiple of this, which gives you the outcome you want. So you actually don't need 10,000 clients. You don't need 5,000 clients. So you don't need everybody. You don't need the deliver. You don't need the collect. You know what I mean?
It's different. It's different to creating the PC and saying every single person in the world is going to have one. That is a completely different business model to most products, right?
The everything things we hear it all the time. People go, I'm gonna start a business to take on Microsoft, and I'm like, bro, like
I had one this week.
Yeah, this week, right? Yeah, and these ideas, 99% of the people listening to this pod need a highly leveraged thing, and for most of you, if you get your net worth to 10 million outside of your home, you're going to be good, right? Like 20 million, you're going to live a pretty good life, right? Outside of your home. You don't need to build a massive Bill Gates style company to sell out for 10 or 20 million dollars after tax. Like you can do it on a reasonable business.
I always think back to MX whenever I start thinking about numbers, and target markets and niches. I always revert back to MX and go, MX store. Dirt bikes, right? Maybe 1 out of 10 people, are riding a dirt bike and spending money regularly on dirt bikes. That's just a number I'm throwing out there. In Australia, only $100 million business.
Who would have known?
Our new product, you'd be wrapped if we could do $100 million, right? In a certain amount of time. And you're talking about 50% of all men.
Yes.
On Earth.
Yes.
So,
But that's the point, right? Like how long ago did MX Store start?
14 years or something.
Who would have thought 14 years ago that
I still have the prospectus. I still have the prospectus from back then. And
could get to 100 million. That's the power of focus.
Yeah. The power of focus. And it goes to show you the size of the actual market and working backwards and understanding, for us to do X, we worked it out yesterday. It wasn't that many clients to get to what you need compared to the size of the market, right? Imagine.
So it also highlighted, with that particular business, I think it was it 500?
Yes.
500 or 800 clients or something. But it also highlighted the importance of knowing what business you're in. Like, for example, you're not going to get to 500 clients unless you're a sales machine. Yeah. You've got to have lead generation, paid at scale, a lead magnet, booking a call, sale.
Yeah.
And that's got to be if you want to get that done in the time frame we want to get done, which is in under 2 years, you need to have that funnel.
And the product, right? You can't be a customization service.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because I think that's a really important nuance for the audience. The product that you're talking about in your new business, you'll be selling the same product over and over and over again. Therefore, you are a marketing and sales business. Whereas MX Store, in order to get to the scale of 100 million, you needed to have a massive warehouse and distribution capability to have thousands and thousands.
There's a lot.
How many thousand SKUs?
Over 100,000. But there's a lot easier ways to build a business and make money than MX Store.
No.
Right? Like, that's the reality.
What business you're in, to Adam's
But using that experience and understanding, like, we're sitting down with a couple of the partners from MX to just get a bit of an idea. Hey, based on what you know over the last 14 years, right? Here's a product. We're going to have a SKU range of maybe 20 at most, right? At some point. Right now, it's only going to be a couple.
Yeah.
What would you do? We had this meeting last week.
What was the answer?
Right? Oh, I mean, that's secret recipe and stuff now. But what was interesting is when you're sitting down with someone with so much experience, right? And you break down the business idea and you're telling them costs and you're telling them margin and you're explaining to them the size of the market, and you see their eyes go, this is very, very interesting. It's not all the time you get that, because 14 years of building MX as an example, and Fight is the same thing. We had Nick in here last week. It's a similar model, right? That catalog style business. It's a lot of fucking work, man. Compared to a lot of capital, right? And time. Like, I'm watching these people going, oh, within 3 years, I went from 2 million to 10 million. Like, that's hard to do.
Like, right?
That's hard to do in a catalog style business, never mind on 5 SKUs.
I'm curious now that you said secret recipe stuff, but are you referring, without getting into the nitty gritty, are you referring to the actual nuts and bolts advertising strategy? Or
No.
What are you saying? If they get nitty gritty, let's get nitty gritty.
Yeah. No, I'm just joking about that. But basically, it is just, you are an advertising machine. That's hands down. But you need margin, right? The more margin you have when you're sitting down with an ads guy, right? The more mud you could throw at the wall and see what works, and test and measure and test and measure.
Yeah, wow.
When you can't test and measure, right? When you've got very, very slim margin, because at some point, guess where it's coming from? Your pocket. And at some point in your mind, you're going to go, I've got no more money, or I don't have the balls to put in more money. Whereas when you're taking it out of margin, you can go, like, we can, in this product, we can give product away.
it's like supplements
and put it into people's hands, right? We can't do that with MX.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the pod. I just want to take a quick moment to share a quick story with you about something going on in one of my businesses right now. We are using artificial intelligence to send a voice clone of myself directly into our customers' voicemail inboxes the moment after they purchase our product. Well, not the moment, a few minutes after. So with our toilets business, Dry Flush, people put in their name, their email, their phone number when they order the toilets. 5 minutes later, their phone rings once and it goes straight to their voicemail. And we're using an AI that clones my voice and says, hey, Terry, if that's their name, grabbing the name from the order form using my voice, it drops a customized voicemail to say, hey, Terry, what's going on? Adam here from Dry Flush. Just want to say thank you so much for ordering one of our toilets. Sorry I missed you. I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate your business. If there's anything you need, just send us an email at hello@dryflush.com.au. And that goes out to every customer every time a few minutes after the purchase. This is what the team at Earlibird.ai are building for us right now, as along with some other very, very cool solutions that are going to increase customer experience, increase the number of 5-star reviews we get, and automate the amazing experience that we are aiming to provide when you buy from our e-commerce store. So if you want to learn about that and your business is doing over $500,000 a year, you qualify for a free audit with the team at Earlibird.ai. That's EARLI, Earlibird.ai. And they will do an audit of your business and show you how they can put artificial intelligence like that into your business, whether it's voice cloning, video, face cloning, all kinds of amazing technologies that are available right now. So go over there, get your free audit, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Like what lit him up was when I said it's $12 US for the product, including shipping to anywhere in domestic United States in 2 days. And he goes, and how much do you sell it for? We're like, 80, and it recurs with 50% rebuy rate every month. And he was like, holy shit. And that's why, like when you find that great idea, you need to, and this is maybe a bit of a segue here, but one thing that's happened for me when you get over 50 particularly, and as you start to age, you start to really go, you need to really prioritize your attention and time and get super focused on your outcome. Like James is super focused on what he's doing right now. I'm seriously considering relocating to the US from January.
I said that to you the other day. I want to get a green card.
Yeah. No, but I am. We're maybe even doing a reconnaissance trip in a month or two over there to check out a couple of cities, but relocating there to make sure next year that when this thing kicks off, I'm in the US, I'll get a WeWork space in New York or something, and I'll wake up every day and just get product in the hands of influencers and do what the boys at Mana Vitality have done, but just maybe more intense because I want to get this shit done, and just wake up every day talking to influencers about getting them on, partnering, pushing it out, creating new ads, and just push, but on the US time zone with my feet on US soil, and do that for the next 3 years, and just fucking go hard, because that's what you got to do. And to do that, you've got to have difficult conversations about, in this case, perhaps moving country. Maybe we rent our home out, which will give us the money to rent anywhere in the world we want. So we've been looking at it. It's exciting, but it takes real commitment if you want to kick a real goal, you know.
And you know, I think it's important to note that you wouldn't do this for any opportunity, but every now and then an opportunity comes along that kind of ticks the boxes, where you see that the amount of work that it's going to take to get this going and put in is going to give that asymmetric return.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
A lot of times people are just in love with average ideas because they're in love with I've got an idea. Like, it's kind of like when you're in a bad relationship, but it's better than being alone. It's the same in entrepreneurship. So many people are in love with average ideas, and so
no
matter how much they love, the person needs to love you back hard, or it's not going to be good. You know, same with business.
Yeah. So that being said, now we just want to tell everybody that we vote for James to be the new anchor of the podcast while Adam's overseas. How do you feel, James?
We're going to crush it.
I was just joking.
We'll have plenty of countrified listeners.
Oh man!
But no, so I mean, it's just it was a really good. The offsite was just really, really good to get hyper focused. And so this is again why people always ask me and Eric and probably you guys, how come you don't own businesses on your own? Because it's just really hard to have 360-degree vision. And you know, what worked with us is we've all got respect for each other. We all know we bring different things to it.
Yeah.
But my big thing with yesterday was get off site, ask the hard questions, and then take the other side of the optimism. Somebody's got to take the other side of the optimism. And it's not fun to do that, but it leads you to you got to make sure that people know it's a safe space. Yeah. To be able to push back and test ideas.
It's so funny because like before that meeting, and after our discussions that we've had, because we meet every 2 weeks for a 1 to 2 hour shareholders meeting, I was hands down, we're going into a niche and solving every single problem in that niche. Like that was the model, right?
Just go after
going into this meeting.
That's it.
And then after collaboration and different ideas getting thrown around, we've basically done a full 180 and going, no, actually, why were we even thinking that? Why didn't we think of this? You know, like it's amazing.
When you look back at it, you're like, far out. That means we're just going after all our eggs in that one basket. We've ignored the rest of the entire market, when in fact the solutions are the same anyway. Yeah, it's just which ones we need.
And I think like a lot of people talk about the power of idea meritocracy, where it doesn't matter what your rank or position is, that the best ideas win. And I think what's evident from this offsite is that created that safe space, that environment for the idea meritocracy to flow. Whereas when people are in different rooms, or it's a formal board room meeting once every week, people don't have the ability to dream or to speak up as much as what they.
I honestly think, moving forward, any business should have an offsite once a quarter, at least once a quarter.
Right.
You can schedule in 2 to 3 hours in your diary with the key people in the business and just say, hey, where are we at? What are we doing? Are we aligned? Are we still on the right journey to get to our, where we want to go or not? And why are we turning this way? Let's, bring it back in line.
Spoke about this last week.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
It was key at Reliable. We used to hire the boardroom at Peppers, get out of the factory down in Burleigh. We go up there and we get nice sandwiches put on at lunchtime, and we'd spend all day there. Or we'd go up to Brisbane and we'd get a suite up at the W Hotel, and we would take post-it notes, and there would be post-it notes all over the glass by the end of the day. But we came out of it just reinvigorated and refocused. Every quarter, I think, is a really... And the other last note I wanted to just drop in there is also be mindful, and I think we could have done a little bit better on reflection. Yesterday there was four of us, and Josh is the one that speaks the least. He's the quietest. Make sure you ask the quiet guys and girls too, because Josh is actually the one closest to the customer. He's the one actually dealing with the input. Chris is more sort of the vision and the building, and Josh is the mouthpiece and interacting. So make sure you ask the quiet people too, because just because they're quiet doesn't mean that they're not. And I think we might, next time we got to do a better job of saying, Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I know Chris asked.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him.
I didn't
ask
either.
But Chris asked at the end, and he chimed in a little bit, but
It's so
Cool last night.
I mean, we, as everyone knows, run our businesses remotely, but Dom is probably the quiet one in our business. But when she drops an idea, it's usually like such a massive idea. So creating that space is something that we could do a better job of as well. So I think it's a really good.
And for the leaders listening to this, I'm guilty of this. I'm sure, Eric, you're guilty of this sometimes as well. When you're the leader, and especially when you're young, somebody's got to be the charismatic guy or girl who's out there driving the idea and da-da-da. But entrepreneurs are good at selling ideas. Sometimes those ideas are fucked. But nobody's got the courage to say,
well, you make it sound so good.
Yeah, like I'm on board. Like it's easy to just go on board. And it's a real leader would say, all right, now shoot my idea down. You know, like Grant Cardone says, what scares me most is what I think is true that's not. I love that saying, you know. On the Chamath All-In pod, behind Chamath, it says, I only trust my doubts. Right? It's that same kind of thinking that if you know that sometimes you're enthusiastically full of shit, it's a really good thing to know.
It's not what you know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't true.
Yes.
That's the,
so it's probably not your personality as much, but I know for me, that when I was younger, I'd march into a room, fuck it, somebody's going to start this party, it'll be me. And I just go, you know, and everybody's on board. And I could be driving them enthusiastically straight into a fire. Not knowing it. And I did well.
The other thing is, not only that, it's when you sell yourself, which is the most dangerous part. Like in seller and also got an idea, but when you sell it yourself and you give yourself confirmation bias and then it doesn't, you're like, oh,
it's hard because it is required. Somebody has to, but you also need, like Joe and I worked really well like that because Joe was more feet on the ground and I'm more sort of the vision. And you need that. That's why you need that business partner that's counter and can question and knows when to say, hey, James, can I just talk to you for a minute when the guys are not here? What about this, this, and this? And like, oh, fuck. And that's why that like, trust, respect has to be real. Because if I didn't respect Eric, or he didn't respect me, that meeting yesterday, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Put your mouth tape back on, boy.
Yeah. If at any level that's there, it doesn't work.
And there are people out there like that will just tell you everything that you're saying is shit and your idea is shit. But after a while, it's like you get used to them saying that your idea is shit, that you don't actually... It's like the boy who cried wolf. You don't actually listen when...
But they're trolls.
Yeah.
That's a troll. We share a troll, Mark, right?
The ultimate party or entity that tells you your product shit is the market. And hopefully you fucking work that out before you get there.
And that's why you should always remain afraid of the market. And the truth is, I'm really afraid of the market because I have been absolutely destroyed by it so many times.
And I said that to Chris, right? I said, we're sitting here assuming... what a real estate agent wants. We're sitting here assuming we know what a dentist wants or what a mortgage broker wants, but talk to as many of them as possible.
Okay.
And find out, the mom test, and find out the exact problems that they have. And then you're going to be finding, solutions, and there's going to be a consensus going, I talked to 10 of these guys and all 10 have the exact same problems. And then, that'll, a lot less pain moving forward with,
I'll give you one example about how much confirmation bias you had. I was looking into the pet space. I looked to put an app together called PetFit. Because in America, 56.6% of dogs are morbidly obese and they die, that shortens their life. It was like, fuck, this is horrible. And it was on news and all this sort of stuff like that. I spoke to about 80 people in America off Instagram that had obese pets, and not one of them were prepared to get up their fat ass and take the dog for a walk.
Because 86% of people in America are obese, so they can't.
The same say with it. And what I'm saying is, you can say, there's a massive problem here. These dogs are all obese and dying, and poor, the lady that owns Pluto, she's going to have this horrible experience, but she's not willing to get off her fucking ass to do anything about it. So you could, for building the size of it,
if they're not willing to go out for a walk themselves for their own problem, why are they going to do
it?
But
even if they are, they still, it wasn't even just because you look at the owners. There's some quite fit owners. They just love their dogs. They used to feed them at the table, whatever. So they're aware that they're actually creating the problem, but willing to do fuck all about it. So it's like,
it's totally different. Like inexperienced entrepreneurs will go online and they'll do a Google survey and they'll pay $500 for a Google survey to be done. And somebody's clicking there going, yes, no, I won't pay maybe this. And they're basing these huge life decisions on the opinion of some stranger who's sitting there with a mouse just getting paid 50 cents or whatever. And you're like, dude, you are investing money and time and reputation into this, and you're 50 years old. You don't have that much time here. So you got a house, you got no wealth outside the house. You're 50, so you probably got 10 or 15 years of energy left. You can't afford to go down a path for 3 years, lose 3 years, lose that capital that you put in, and lose reputation, so that next time you start, everybody's definitely not giving you money next time. So you can't rely on that. And this is why, that like the Y Combinator guy said, we look for businesses where when you're talking about the product, people are leaning forward and over the counter to try and grab it out of your hands. That's what you need. And if they're saying, well, just give me the MVP, I'll try it now. Like, I'll buy it. Like, when is it? And we're getting that with the consumer product that we're about to launch. Like, have you got any samples I can get my hand on it right now?
Yeah.
Because that's what you need. And if you don't, it's going to be harder.
I've got a question for you, Adam, because, I'm sure that there's many 50-year-old people out there that have worked a corporate job or a 9 to 5 and don't have the same amount of reps as you and Eric do in business, that have the ability to be able to spot an idea like that when it comes their way. You have to understand what it looks like first. So what's your advice to someone out there that's 50 years old? Is it to partner with someone who has the reps? Like, how do they ensure? Because many times I'm sure people listening think that their idea is the best thing since sliced bread, but it actually isn't.
There's lots of, get advice from entrepreneurs that have a reputation for being honest.
Yeah.
and have the runs on the board. You can use, you could join our coaching, right? That's one way. You could go to Minect, which is a platform by Patrick Bet-David, and hire people by the minute to talk to you. I'm on there. I charge $2,000 US an hour for a phone call, but that $2,000 US or $3,000 Aussie to talk to somebody for an hour is better than spending $100,000 and a year of your life.
That's actually...
I had a guy do that. This week I had a call from a guy on Minect. He's in Lake Como, and he just said, I'm just at a pivotal point in my life. And he paid me the rate just to sort of talk, because he goes, I know your background, I know your path. My path's quite similar. Why did you end Reliable Education? Why did you walk away from the Amazon space? Why are you doing what you're doing now? And I'm like, this guy really listened, because he's paying me $2,000 US an hour for that advice. And he's like, fuck, for where I'm sitting right now, this guy already had a business. He's doing $14 million a year at 30-40% margin, but he's in a similar-ish space to what I was in. And he's like, why did Adam walk away when he was where I am, or a little bit further down the line in my case? What were the things? He was smart enough to go and seek that advice. And so that, I think, people go, oh, no, I'll just send a text message to Adam, and I'll just try and, what do you think of this product idea? Texting. I'm like, fuck, bro, like, for me to give you proper advice, I need to know a lot more than I can do in a text message. I need to understand you. I need to understand the market. I need to understand the competitors. So get it together and go and find people and say, listen, this is what I'm thinking. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I do not want to fucking waste my life. That's the approach you got to take to it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's so interesting, because I think we've spoken about the idea that I had to tokenize house and land, and I've thought this was the best idea since sliced bread. And I actually paid $5,000 to go to a Gary V dinner, and we all got to ask questions and stuff. And I pitched the idea and asked what he thought about it. And he just basically said, I don't think it'll work. Property's too cyclical, and you're going to have to deal with that. And it made me think, just that little bit of advice made me think about it in a whole completely different way.
And I think asking, tell me where I'm wrong. Go with the approach of, this is everything. I've done my best, but I know there's a really good chance that I'm wrong, because most people are wrong when they start businesses, and I don't think I'm any different. But if I'm right, they say, if you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money, right? So go and ask that. And if you've got a killer idea and you're really speaking to somebody who's really been successful and got some money, they'll go, you know what, Mark, I don't think this is wrong at all. In fact, I think this is a great idea. Yeah. Can I invest?
Yeah. The issue is people want to be lied to. I honestly feel like people want to hear the answer that they want to hear, whether it's the right one or the wrong one, because I feel like there's not a lot of resilience anymore with people. It's just like, yeah, good idea, keep going, well done, And even though it's not a good idea, people when you sit there and you go, you know what, actually, I wouldn't do that, and this is why. And but it's the best. You know what I mean? Like, you get that. And with coaching, we have some difficult conversations. You know, we've had conversations where Adam and I have been on a call, and we're like, you know what, if this was us, sell the business. Do not put any more energy into this business. Take the emotions out of it. Sell it. That's hard to tell someone that's been building something for 3 years, right? With their partner and you know, their time and their effort, and they're so emotionally attached. That's the thing. They're so emotionally attached. And one thing you can't be in business is...
So I just got a funny thought come in.
I think
You can't be emotionally attached.
right? Even in... I've missed...
The mate walks in and you're like, how drunk were you?
How attached are you now?
and that's in business, in investing, property, whatever you're doing. And I think when emotions start to take control is when you start making very, very bad decisions.
People start telling you a story, and I say, but Adam, you know, I've made these commitments, and I'm I'm like, I don't mean to be blunt, but let me tell you something about the market. It doesn't give a fuck about your story. Like, it just doesn't. And it doesn't. And like that girl that came to me for advice, goes, well, I'm trying to structure this deal this way. I know it looks like one-sided because last time I got screwed over by my business partner. I'm like, the market doesn't care that you got screwed over. You gotta let that shit go. So
But when we start looking at businesses, and we're interviewing people weekly, every week, right? We're hearing different business stories, different successes. And you look at the ones that are doing well. They're solving big problems, right? Like TBH, acne. You got Kenny with the Lego lights. That he solved the problem, you know, and he's getting rewarded for it. You look at, you know, Rick and what he's done with the software. So you start looking at all of these businesses, and the bigger the problem, right, the bigger the payout that you're going to get. If it's in motocross, as an example, the problem was, when you look back, people that ride moto, right, dirt bikes, are in rural areas. You're not seeing guys riding dirt bikes down Ferry Road and on the M1, right? They're riding in farms, you know, where you know, James grew up, as an example. Inland. They can't just drive an hour and go to their local place and buy the part that they need to for Friday so they could go riding with their kids. We solved that problem by getting it to them and having it available. Like, it's fucking basic.
It comes back to what we were saying before with Earlibird AI as well. It's like we're living in a world where the abundance of e-commerce companies has created a problem, and that is we can't convert, we can't get profit.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
It's already a super, super simple solution.
Order editing.
The way that we're saying is, like, in a very simple sentence, like, you think about Kenny. You want to see Kenny's product? You sit in front of a Lego fan. Here's your product with no lights. Click. Here it is with lights. Holy shit.
You've changed my world.
You've changed my world, right? Here's your website without the order editing software.
Yeah.
It hasn't come out yet, that pod, but your landing page, your thank you page right now does nothing. With orderediting.com, your thank you page becomes a cash generating machine and a ticket support destroying machine.
Yeah.
Like, boom, there it is.
And most of those problems you talk about solving, they're not, there's no real variance to human intervention. Will it work for me? No, it just works on its own. Like, there's no, mate, look, trading the stock market, you could be a gun trader and I could be shit outside. It's the same market. But with a thing like order editing, it just works. If you set a brake lever to someone, they've got the broken brake lever, fixed brake lever, highly demonstrative, and no variance from the human interaction in there, from their skill level.
You mentioned before as well that finding people who are willing to give you honest feedback is becoming rarer and rarer, and it's true. It's because and that's one of the knock-on effects of living in such a polarized society, is we're either this side or that side. Like, people don't want to offend anyone anymore, so people hold back. And like, I had a coffee with a mate this morning, and we sat there and had like a real honest conversation, and you know, and it's rare to even find people that are willing to listen to that feedback, let alone give it.
And you got to be careful who you're asking as well, right? Because most people ask family or people close to them without experience, and they're going to give you different feedback, right, than someone like an Adam or a James or you or me or whoever it is with a little bit of experience. Not to say that we know everything, and we could be wrong as well, but we've got battle scars. We've done these things. We've been in the trenches. We've lost money. We've lost time. We're not just saying it to say, hey, I want to be right. I don't give a fuck about being right. I honestly do not care about being right, you know? It's about me sitting down in 5 years' time and us high-fiving each other going, mate, remember that thing that you told me to do? I implemented it, and fucking, that's what we, you know, with our coaching calls. Like, I got another one, a message yesterday about a success. And it's just like you get these messages and you're going, fuck, if it wasn't for that one thing, I wouldn't be here. Or like those are the needle moving things that really matter. And sometimes they're hard conversations to have. But the reality is you have to have the guts, right, to sit there and tell them that to their face.
And on
it's
the other
hard.
side, have the guts to sit there and listen.
Yeah, that's a big one as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why paying is essential, because it's painful for the other party to tell you that your idea is not great. It's not fun. It's like firing somebody. It's just a horrible thing to sit down and go, mate, I can see how much you love this. I can see how much you want this to work. But the numbers don't lie out there in the world of startups that fail. It's most fail right away or soon after. So yeah, anyway, I think we've killed that point, but just guys out there, really, really, really being, really deep, honest about like physically watching people. Like I show people in the Bali training I did when the guy was pitching the sponge, the Scrub Daddy. And what I did was I screen grabbed, that product does 200 million a year from a sponge. And when I was teaching it, I said, watch this. And I put up a slide and I had real grabs on the slide of the 4 sharks' faces. Like, wow, like that's what you've got to look for. Whereas somebody go, oh yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah. But are they emotionally triggering, like positively, like that? If you're not getting that, do not, so.
It's like you said, people got to be reaching over to the product, that they got to want it so much. That's why we got to lock the door here in the podcast studio, because when they know James is filming, we lock the door or else they're running in here interrupting us, like it's the product. They want the product. We got a good product on our hands here.
Thanks for saying me, Erica. Appreciate that. Trying to grab me out of your hands. What am I doing with your hands anyway? That's fucking strange.
I don't use my hands usually.
Oh my God, you two are just disgusting. So last thing, anybody else got anything burning they want to cover? I got one more I thought I'd share.
I can't believe.
Can you just put that differently?
I can't believe we actually went on that one topic on the Offsite, and it went for
so long. Yeah,
so much gold in there though when you unpack it.
Yeah, it is, and we take it for granted because we've done it for so long. But I think the underlying message is the older you get and the more you've lost, which is what inevitably happens unless you're one of these rare geniuses that just don't fail. The more you collaborate and the more you want to de-risk. And I think this is maybe the last point. We can all talk about this. We're still in the process of, with this new project, and the one I'm thinking about moving over to the US for next year and relocating, because frankly, I want to have a more vibrant experience and different things, and travel's a big part of that. But we're still open, very open, all of us. Like we were talking to Dan this week. So Dan is the guy who runs all the traffic for MX. He spends 15 to 20 million a year on traffic. And he's probably one of the top 5.
He's a humble. He's a
very humble, but he's one of the most experienced ad guys, traffic guys. And we had a meeting with Dan, and I said, Dan, what would it take to get you properly interested in our business? Like, is there a way we could pay you to mentor us, or could we give you some equity to come in and be a part owner in the project? And he was like, really, that's the only way that I want to do things now, is like, if I find something really, really good, I'll take a little piece of the company and come in and I went, all right. Eric was in the meeting with me. I said, look, I want to check with Ash, so Ash and I are sort of the co-CEOs, I guess, of this new business. And COOs is probably better, or CMOs, because that's what it's going to be, operating and marketing. And I said, I'll call Ash. And Ash immediately said to me, Adam, I would be very happy to bring Dan in and as an equity holder, because all of us at this point in our life realize that this is a game of a 0 or a 1. Like Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. It's not about, like, if you're talking to a guy that couldn't add that percentage of value on top of what you could do without him, you're talking to the wrong guy. And Dan would add whatever equity we end up negotiating on top of it. And so, yeah, so it's really important as well, I think, as you get older, to realize you want to win. Like Alex Hormozi says, just win. And sometimes that it means collaborating, bringing people together to make sure it's a win. Because at the end of the day, if we sell this thing for, let's say $100 million and I've got 30% instead of 35%, it's better than 70% of a 0.
Yeah, but it's good. It's the collaboration part, and it's the expectation part, because in the meeting you specifically said to him, "Hey, listen, right? I don't want you to just come here and do the work. I want you to come here, do the work, and teach me along the way, because I want to know it."
Yeah.
Right. This is an education piece at the same time. It's not just, "Hey, Dan, this is what we need. Go and do it." No, go and do it. And I want to be watching you, and you're going to teach me how to do it. So that way.
And you're going to reduce.
Yeah.
The first month is going to be intense for you. The second month, semi-intense. By 6 months in, it should be just over for you. But we would like you to be here permanently. So hopefully we can get a deal done with him. And if we can't, no problem. But I think for everybody listening, you should be seeking to win. We're also structuring another deal for a client who came to us. He used one of his coaching calls. He paid the money to be in our coaching group, which wasn't cheap. And he used one of his valuable calls. He used both Eric and I together on the call to validate his idea. He said, "Look, just tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to spend my time." He had exactly that attitude that I told you. Just pick holes in it. Tell me where it's wrong or if I'm wasting my time. And that's so much easier for us to then, rather than somebody who's fully vested into this thing and like selling it to you, right? He's like, "This is what I think it is." And we're helping him structure a deal. And we had a very honest chat at the end. I said, "Are you and your wife the best executors for this?" And he goes, "No, we're not." He goes, "We could do this part of the execution, but really we're not the front person. We need a good front person. Do you guys want to put the money?" "No." "All right, so you're not going to put the money up and you're not going to be the main executor." I said, "Okay, so you realize you're going to not own a majority of this business?" And they said, "Absolutely fine with that." And so we went, okay. And then I said to Eric, we need to find an absolute killer executor for this. And it's a business in the Amazon space initially, and then retail more broadly. And so this week we reached out to our networks and we found an agency owner in the US that has 6 offices, Boston, Chicago, Seattle.
Top notch,
right? Like one of the top agency owners in the United States, hundreds of Amazon seller clients already. And that was an introduction through a friend of mine who was actually on the pod. And he said, because I reached out to him in the US and said, "Dude, we need a killer Amazon expert in the US who has deep networks into brands there." "No problem. I've got just the guy." Meeting hooked up. When we presented to him, we didn't take the person from our business coaching group. I just went and did the meeting with him. And I said, "Look, what do you think of the idea? I just want to see what you think." And he said, "Dude, I would invest in this idea." He goes, "I may or may not be the best person. I've got another person in mind that probably be even better than me, but I would like to invest with you guys if he decides he wants to do it." And I said to him, "Here's how much equity is available for you." And he was immediately like, "Wow, that's great." Because it wasn't, and I had a framework because I'd conditioned our client appropriately. Nobody's going to put up all the money and do all the work and not be the major owner.
Yeah.
And we said, look, so it was roughly like 30. So, a third to the guy who had the idea, a third for the money, and a third for the executor. But I said to him, Eric and I said, "Look, we'll put up the 30%. But we'll put up all the money for 30% of the company. But honestly, if we find a killer executor for you in the US and they want that 30% for the money, you should give it to them instead of us, because then you're going to have a financially invested executor, right? So we're happy to invest, but we're also happy that if you find that guy, good luck. We'll hope you make it. If there's any value we can add in other ways, maybe offer us a few points. Like if it would be a great sponsor for our pod. If you want us to give us a smaller piece of equity and we'll promote you on the pod, great. Or if you want us to use our database in Australia, great, So that's how we do business. And instead of trying to have this underhanded, we just want to see the guy win, and you develop a reputation, you have that abundance mentality, and it works. So he's now super excited, this guy and his wife.
But
because you think about that pathway.
But it's so good when we're on the call with this, the founder of this agency in the US from, one phone call, through the network. And in the back of my mind, I'm always the kind of guy that's like, we think this is a great idea here being in Australia. And I'm like, this guy may have heard this thing fucking 10 times already, So that's how my mind was thinking, right? Because he's very, very well known, and he's got a large business across this. And it's like, I wonder if he's heard of this idea. And surely he was just like, wow, this is fucking a good idea. And that for me, right, is like sitting down with a coach and going, hey, what do you think of this idea? Right?
Yeah.
Or sitting down with Dan and going, hey, Dan, what do you think of this idea? And you walk away, and then Dan rings me in the car on the way back going, that's a fucking good idea. And that's when you're like, we're onto something.
Yeah, I mean, that guy could have easily, because he knew we weren't the guy. We were just he's a client of ours, and we were wanting his feedback. Let's tell us what you think. And the biggest vote of confidence is, hey, can I invest with you? Like, I would invest with you if you guys want another investor. That to me is like, a huge vote of confidence. It was also a real nod to him. Like that relationship, the intro to that person was a 20-year relationship I had in the US, a dear friend of mine. But it said a lot about the guy when he said, I'm happy. He got it. He'd never heard of my ICE model, idea, capital, execution. But as soon as I explained it to him, he goes, that's actually a brilliant model. I get it. But he was happy to be the executor, but he was also happy to be the investor. So he's like, I think I could have somebody that may be even better than me, and I'll just come and invest with you guys. And we're totally open to that, mate. We just want to see it win. And all of a sudden now we've got this great contact in the US because you can see a mature approach to it.
And it's funny because you go from not having anyone to having a great guy to the great guy saying, actually, you know what? I have an amazing guy.
That's the power of a good idea. And I keep trying to drill it to people because I've just seen so many people that are not dumb, but not, let me put it another way. I've seen really talented people married to very average ideas, right? And I've seen really average people married to really good ideas. And rocket ship. We've had kids come on this podcast that are doing better than us by a country mile that are 20 years our junior, right? Are they better than us? Well, they probably don't have as much knowledge as us, but they just got on the right thing and stuck at it. And I got too clever in trying to do all these other fancy shit.
Sometimes I think too much knowledge isn't good either.
Too much knowledge is not a good thing, right? Like, so I look at it and I go, just got to get a good idea. It's 90% of it, So anyway, guys, hopefully that's helped you today with this Friday recap. As always, drop a comment, like and subscribe. Go and see the boys at Earlibird if you want to grow your business. Like, what they're doing over there really does work. That's the only reason we keep giving them a shout out. It's a great thing. We're using it in our business. They're doing some stuff for Dry Flush at the moment where every customer who buys from us gets a voicemail using a voice cloning technology from me into their voicemail saying, hey, it's Adam from Dry Flush. I'm the owner. I just want to say thanks for buying from us. And it has their name customized in that voicemail. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Every time you're on the toilet, think of me.
Yeah, exactly.
What a thought. I would just wipe that thought.
My Lord.
You wipe that part of the podcast.
God. James always at the end has something.
Oh, yeah. Be smooth, man.
Leave the audience.
Love it. Lovely thought. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. As always, please share the love. Like, subscribe, drop a comment, and tell your friends about the pod if you're enjoying it. We're trying to offer something unique. We've got so much feedback from people saying this is so good. It's like university for entrepreneurs, but with swearing.
And James.
It was there. That was just the city didn't need to say it.
Everyone thought it.
All right, guys. Bye for now. See you next week.
Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.